If there's two things I know plenty about, it is length and stamina. And look, that one time wasn't my fault, alright? I'd had a long day. Sharing my enthusiasm for a marathon sesh are these following wrestlers who competed in some of the girthiest matches in WrestleMania history. Did all of these matches live up to their size? Absolutely not. However, they are all special in one way or another, and some rank amongst the greatest bouts the granddaddy of them all has ever seen. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are the 10 longest WrestleMania matches ever. Join us. Number 10, Stone Cold Steve Austin vs. The Rock at WrestleMania X7, 28 minutes and 8 seconds. Talk about kicking things off in style, eh? We've only got one of the biggest WrestleMania matches of all time to start with. WrestleMania X7 is rightfully considered to be the greatest iteration in the show of shows' grand legacy, thanks in no small part to its blockbuster main event. WWE Champion The Rock, Royal Rumble winner Stone Cold Steve Austin, Limp Bizkit's My Way, Deborah, I guess. The pieces were all in place for a battle for the ages, and these two gladiators did not disappoint. For the better part of half an hour, Rock and Austin battered each other in this no-holds-barred classic. With the crowd at fever pitch, the two men looked to be locked in a stalemate until Satan himself, Vince McMahon, helped the Texas Rattlesnake defeat the Brahma Bull in controversial fashion. Combine this with their other two matches at Manias 15 and 19, and the Rattlesnake and the Great One have spent well over an hour together locked in combat on the biggest stage. Number 9, The Undertaker vs. Triple H at WrestleMania 27, 29 minutes and 23 seconds. To call WrestleMania 27 a disappointment would be unfair. You would actually have to have your hopes up in the first place to be disappointed. Can you really tell me that anyone was actually excited for John Cena versus The Miz, or Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole, or Snooki? One thing that was hyped up was The Undertaker battling Triple H in a no-holds-barred match, and this stipulation more than met expectations. The Game had made his big comeback from injury to challenge the Dead Man in an attempt to avenge HBK's career-ending loss from the year before. What followed was a brutal affair between two legends that was the best thing on the show by far. Although that's damning with faint praise if I ever heard it. Whether they knew they would have to save the card or they just wanted to get the best out of each other, Taker and Trips left it all in the ring on this night for just shy of 30 minutes. Thankfully, this list isn't ranked on how long these matches felt, otherwise this show's main event would be top with a score of about 4 days. Number 8, The Undertaker vs. Shane McMahon at WrestleMania 32, 30 minutes and 5 seconds. Whilst most of the matches on this list earned their lengthy runtime, our first foray over half an hour most certainly did not. The night after Fastlane 2016, Shane McMahon made his return to WWE after 8 years away. He immediately went after his father, promising to reveal an embarrassing secret about Vince if he wasn't given the chance to run Raw. In hindsight, we should probably be searching for that lockbox. Might be useful as evidence in a trial sometime soon. The elder McMahon made a match for WrestleMania, Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell with control of the red brand on the line. There was something about Undertaker's WrestleMania career as well, but nobody really cared about that. When the bell finally rang, it became painfully apparent that neither man was in their prime anymore. These two middle-aged men stumbled about the ring for over 30 minutes, somehow only managing to fit about 5 minutes worth of moves into that time. Sure, Shane's big jump was spectacular, but a match this lengthy needed more than one memorable spot to make it worthwhile. For the love of mankind, indeed. Number 7, John Cena vs. Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23, 30 minutes and 5 seconds. We know this spot should technically be a tie between this match here and the previous one, but there was no way we could bring ourselves to put a bout of this quality on the same level as the Snorefest from 2016. Rumor has it that Triple H was supposed to be John Cena's WrestleMania 23 opponent until Hunter's quadricep got other ideas. Luckily for WWE, they had Shawn Michaels standing behind some glass with the words "break in case of emergency" written on it. HBK was parachuted into the main event to face Cena instead, and he was more than up to the task. I mean, of course he was Shawn bloody Michaels. HBK drew out Cena's best match to date, walking the relatively inexperienced WWE champion through over half an hour of excitement and intrigue. After coming close on several occasions, the showstopper eventually succumbed to Cena's STFU submission to give the champ one hell of a vindicating victory. Even after all these years, this might still be Big Match John's best ever Mania appearance. And it would have been his longest too, were it not for a certain electrifying man 5 years later. Number 6, The Rock vs John Cena at WrestleMania 28, 30 minutes and 35 seconds. The night after WrestleMania 27, aka the worst hangover in wrestling history, a monumental announcement was made on Raw. John Cena and The Rock stood across from each other in the ring after the Great One cost Cena his WWE Championship match against The Miz. This led to both stars agreeing to a match 1 year down the line, Cena vs Rock at WrestleMania 28. Once in a lifetime. Okay, sorry, I can't get through that tagline without laughing. It was never gonna be once in a lifetime, was it? They had the rematch planned from the start. After 12 months of anticipation and CM Punk accidentally getting super over, whoops, the two future Fast and Furious alumni finally met in the main event. For 30 minutes and 35 seconds, these two attempted to put on an epic. And whilst the match was definitely really good, we're not quite sure it lived up to all of the 1,835 seconds that it was afforded. In the end, Rock pinned a cocky Cena to win the match. And then when it came to the rematch at WrestleMania 29, the company had learned their lesson and sliced about 6 minutes from the runtime. Number 5, The Undertaker vs Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25, 30 minutes and 44 seconds. There is a reason why both Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker's names have come up multiple times on this list already and will come up a few more times before we reach the end. In the entire history of WWE, few men have been as reliable big match performers as the Phenom or the Heartbreak Kid. Even fewer are more closely tied to the event of WrestleMania. Undertaker had the streak and Shawn's nickname was literally Mr. WrestleMania. All of this would explain why, when the two stars first met at the Showcase of the Immortals, they were given such a huge chunk of time to play with. At the time, this was both the longest non-title and longest non-main event match in the show's history, and both men more than delivered on those responsibilities. I mean, what do you want us to say that hasn't already been said? This was a masterclass in storytelling, match pacing, audience manipulation, and how to make yourself 3 inches shorter by jumping directly into the ground. It is an all-time great, and there is a reason why it's still talked about so much. Number 4, The Undertaker vs Triple H at WrestleMania 28, 30 minutes and 50 seconds. Not wanting to be upstaged by his best mate, Triple H got a whole 4 extra seconds out of Taker for their third encounter at WrestleMania. Yes, I said third. I remember WrestleMania X7, even if WWE don't. There was a crash pad and everything. After narrowly avoiding defeat at Hunter's hands the previous year, Taker was determined to prove his dominance over the game inside Hell in a Cell. For almost 31 minutes, these two went to war with the then retired Shawn Michaels serving as special guest ref, and there is no denying that it was packed to the gills with drama. I mean, that super kick into the pedigree kick out is one of the greatest near falls of all time. Both in kayfabe and in the minds of the fans, this was the closest the streak had come to ending up to this point. This threat elevated the drama to near Shakespearean levels and helped make this the greatest cell match in Mania history. Although, as we saw earlier, it wasn't up against particularly stiff competition. And don't even get us started on Taker versus Bossman. Number 3, Triple H versus The Rock versus Mick Foley versus Big Show at WrestleMania 2000, 36 minutes and 24 seconds. Taking a huge leap in match times, we find ourselves at one that was overstuffed in every sense of the word. All common sense pointed to The Rock being the sole challenger for Triple H's WWE Championship at WrestleMania 2000. Rocky had just won the Royal Rumble, sort of, and was the most popular babyface in the company. Opposite him was a dastardly heel with a storied history against the proprietor of the SmackDown Hotel. These two were the tomato and cheese on the margarita pizza until WWE decided to complicate things by shoving a load of mushrooms, peppers, capers, and pineapple on top. The one-on-one match soon became a four-way, also involving Mick Foley, The Big Show, and a McMahon in every corner. Because this was an elimination match, the whole thing dragged on for way longer than it needed to. After nearly 36.5 minutes, Triple H pinned The Rock and nothing was gained. Thanks guys, guess I'll just sit here and think about some of the other stuff I could have done with almost 40 minutes. Number 2, Edge vs Randy Orton at WrestleMania 36 Night 2, 36 minutes and 55 seconds. Officially the longest non-title, non-main event match in WrestleMania history, this bout pitted old rivals Edge and Randy Orton against one another in a last man standing match on the second night of WrestleMania 36. After Edge's sensational return at the 2020 Royal Rumble, the Viper immediately spoiled the party by viciously assaulting his former partner's neck the next night on Raw. After weeks of Randy becoming more and more unhinged, the two eventually faced off at the weird Pandemic Mania in a match that was, well, it was really bloody long. Almost 37 minutes, as I say, a very long time, and these two did not fill that space especially effectively. Most of the match was just them plodding about backstage, occasionally stopping to fight in a gym or on the top of a truck. The stipulation certainly didn't help, as there were long pauses in the match whilst the referee counted to 10. Overall, many were left with the belief that a simple no-holds-barred match would have been far better suited to this blood feud. Number 1, Shawn Michaels vs Bret Hart at WrestleMania 12, 1 hour, 1 minute and 56 seconds. The winner by a considerable margin is, of course, the first ever televised WWE Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12. After Shawn Michaels won his second Royal Rumble, he was put on a collision course with the man who would become his greatest rival. Both on screen and behind the curtain, that is. Bret Hart was the WWE champion and had a reputation as the best pure wrestler in the world. Michaels wanted to challenge this, and so it was agreed that the two super studs would face off in a 1 hour Iron Man match to test their endurance. Whoever scored the most pins in 60 minutes would be the champion, and what was the score after the time ran out? Nothing. It was a tie at 0 each. Can't quite work out if that means both men were on rare form and couldn't be pinned, or had an off day and couldn't pin their opponent. The draw forced the match into overtime, which lasted a little under 2 minutes before Shawn kicked Bret's head off to finally achieve the boyhood dream. Whether you love this match or wish it never happened, there is no denying the historical significance of the WrestleMania 12 main event. We highly doubt anything will come close to challenge its spot at the top of this list anytime soon. At least we hope not, because life is simply too short, unlike WrestleMania.